Imagine looking up at the night sky, at that bright, silvery orb we call the moon. For millennia, humanity dreamt of reaching it. It was a symbol of the unattainable, a celestial body woven into our myths, our poetry, and our science. Then, in the summer of 1969, the impossible became reality. A dream shared by millions was carried on the shoulders of three men, hurtling through the blackness of space on a pillar of fire. This is the story of Apollo 11, the mission that changed our perspective of the universe and ourselves forever. The 1960s were a time of intense competition and ambition. The Cold War was in full swing, and the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union was its most visible and dramatic theater. The Soviets had achieved early victories: the first satellite, Sputnik, and the first human in space, Yuri Gagarin. These milestones sent shockwaves through America. In response, on May 25, 1961, President John F. Kennedy stood before Congress and made a bold declaration. He committed the United States to a monumental goal: landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the Earth before the decade was out. This wasn't just a scientific challenge, it was a national obsession. It was a promise that galvanized an entire generation. It required a technological leap unlike any other in human history. Hundreds of thousands of scientists, engineers, technicians, and support staff across the country were mobilized. They worked tirelessly, inventing new materials, developing new computer systems, and solving problems that had never even been considered before. From the mission controllers in Houston to the seamstresses who hand-stitched the spacesuits, every single person played a crucial role in this grand endeavor. The Apollo program was a testament to what humanity can achieve when united by a common, audacious goal. Finally, the day arrived. July 16, 1969. At the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, the colossal Saturn V rocket stood ready. At 363 feet tall, it was, and still is, the most powerful rocket ever built. Inside the tiny command module at its apex sat three astronauts: Commander Neil Armstrong, a quiet and highly skilled test pilot; Lunar Module Pilot Buzz Aldrin, a brilliant engineer with a doctorate from MIT; and Command Module Pilot Michael Collins, the man who would orbit the moon alone while his crewmates made history. At precisely 9:30 a.m., the world held its breath. The five massive F-1 engines of the Saturn V's first stage ignited, unleashing an earth-shattering roar and 7.6 million pounds of thrust. The ground shook for miles around as the rocket slowly, majestically began its ascent. For the million spectators gathered on the beaches and causeways, and for the hundreds of millions watching on television, it was a sight of awesome power and hope. The rocket climbed higher and higher, a brilliant white spear against the blue Florida sky, carrying the dreams of a planet with it. The journey to the moon took 3 days. For Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, it was a period of system checks, navigation upgrades, and moments of quiet awe. Through their small windows, they saw the Earth shrink behind them, a beautiful, fragile blue marble suspended in the vast, black emptiness. Collins later described it as a tiny jewel in a black velvet sky. They were travelers in a new, uncharted ocean, leaving the shores of their homeworld for a distant, alien coast. On July 20th, the crucial moment came. Armstrong and Aldrin entered the lunar module, a spindly, fragile-looking craft named Eagle. Michael Collins remained in the command module, Columbia, his job to circle the moon and be their lifeline back home. As Eagle separated from Columbia and began its descent, the tension in mission control in Houston was palpable. The final minutes of the landing were anything but smooth. As they neared the surface, alarm bells started ringing in the cockpit. The onboard computer, which had less processing power than a modern smartphone, was overloaded with data. The 1202 and 1201 alarms flashed, signaling a computer overload. Back in Houston, a young 26-year-old guidance officer named Steve Bales had to make a split-second decision. Based on his training, he recognized the alarm and trusted the system's design. He gave the go-ahead. Go. We're go on that alarm. But the drama wasn't over. Neil Armstrong, now manually flying the Eagle, looked out the window and saw that the computer was guiding them toward a crater filled with large boulders. This was not a safe landing spot. With fuel running critically low, Armstrong took semi-automatic control, searching for a clear patch of ground. Mission Control called out the dwindling fuel supply. 60 seconds. 30 seconds. The world listened, hearts pounding. Then, finally, a convoy from over 140,000 miles away broke the silence. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. The relief in Mission Control was explosive. Cheers and applause erupted. They had done it. They were on the moon. For the next few hours, Armstrong and Aldrin prepared for the most anticipated moment of all, the first steps on another world. At 10:56 p.m. Eastern Time, the hatch of the Eagle opened. A ghostly, black and white television image was broadcast live to an estimated 650 million people worldwide. Neil Armstrong carefully backed down the ladder. As his boot touched the fine, powdery lunar soil, he uttered the words that would be etched into history forever. That is one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. He was soon joined by Buzz Aldrin, who, gazing at the stark, magnificent desolation, described it simply as magnificent desolation. For over 2 hours, the two astronauts explored this new frontier. They planted the American flag, a symbol of national achievement, but also a marker for all of humanity. They set up scientific experiments to study the lunar environment, collected rock and soil samples, and simply bounced and leaped in the low lunar gravity, experiencing a freedom of movement impossible on Earth. Meanwhile, Michael Collins orbited silently above, the loneliest human in existence. Each time Columbia passed behind the moon, he lost all contact with Earth and his crewmates. He was utterly alone, but he was a vital part of the mission. Without him, Armstrong and Aldrin had no way to get home. His role was one of immense skill, responsibility, and quiet courage. After 21 hours on the lunar surface, the Eagle's ascent stage fired its engine, lifting Armstrong and Aldrin off the moon to rendezvous with Collins in Columbia. Their journey home was a triumphant one. On July 24th, the command module splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, fulfilling the second part of Kennedy's promise, returning the crew safely to the Earth. The Apollo 11 mission was more than a technological triumph. It was a profound cultural moment that changed how we see our place in the cosmos. For the first time, we saw our planet not as a vast, limitless world, but as a small, interconnected, and fragile ecosystem. The famous Earthrise photo, taken during the Apollo 8 mission, and the images from the lunar surface showed us our home floating alone in the vastness. It sparked a new wave of environmental awareness and a sense of shared humanity. The legacy of Apollo 11 is all around us. The technology developed for the mission spurred the digital revolution. From GPS and medical imaging to wireless technology and freeze-dried food, the innovations of the Apollo program have filtered down into countless aspects of our daily lives. More than that, Apollo 11 left us with an enduring legacy of inspiration. It taught us that with courage, ingenuity, and a shared vision, even our most audacious dreams are within reach. It reminds us to look up, to wonder, and to dare to take that next giant leap. Thanks for watching. If you were inspired by this incredible story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys into history, science, and human achievement. What does the moon landing mean to you? Let us know in the comments below. See you next time.